It's funny how when things get localized from Japan to America, there's quite a bit of unusual changes. At first, it was maybe the names. I remember back in the day, names were frequently changed. When the Pokemon anime came to America, Satoshi became Ash, Kasumi became Misty, Takeda became Brock, stuff like that. Yu-Gi-Oh comes to America, Jonichi becomes Joy Wheeler, Anzu becomes Taya, Hondo becomes Tristan. Only Yugi Moto, Seto Kaiba, and Mokuba Kaiba kept their names. So, things like that. I believe even Sailor Moon did that. They turned Usagi into Serena. But, yeah, I would say, I don't know if it was done because maybe Japanese names are hard, but they shouldn't be that big of a deal. And I'm glad these days they don't do that anymore. My Hero Academia, they're not changing names of characters like Izuku Midoriya, Katsubaku, or Chaco Uraka. They all stay the same. So, and then you have music. I know sometimes Japan, Japan's music will be replaced by American music. The Digimon theme, it went from Braveheart to whatever they had. And I'm not saying it's bad, but it's still an interesting change. Pokemon did that with their "I Want to Be the Very Best" song and everything else. Again, I like that song. It's iconic to me, but it was still a change. Dragon Ball replacing Hit Chala with Rock the Dragon. Both are good songs, but I'm glad that nowadays Dragon Ball has the original Japanese soundtrack because the American soundtrack is good, but it's very overrated. So Japanese soundtrack fits just as well, if not better. Um, and then you have Naruto, who in the first season had like its weird original song, and then thankfully they replaced it with rocks and subsequent releases, which was the original theme. And then from then on, every Naruto season still had the main songs from Japan. So I'm glad they learned their lesson there. But it's just really unusual how much things changed. It's not even just anime with that. It's also character personalities. Dragon Ball Z was huge with this. Dragon Ball Z in Japan had Goku as this guy who just loved fighting. He loved fighting strong people. He was a pure martial artist. America tried turning him into a superhero. Like, they want him to be Superman. Goku's essentially like Superman in Japan, but just for different reasons. So they took like that whole "I am the Super Saiyan Son Goku" thing and turned into "I am the hope of the universe" type thing. And that's just not who Goku is as a character. Not to say that he isn't a good person, because he will not allow you to be a jerk, but he is not a proactive hero, so to speak. He's more reactive. If he sees you doing bad things, he'll stop you. If you ask him, "Hey, can you help me stop these bad guys?" he'll do it because he knows it's the right thing to do. He said himself, his grandfather taught him to always help those who need help. So he's just being a decent person rather than a superhero. But the original dub just tried too hard to make him seem like a superhero, and thankfully the Kai dub rectified that, so he's just himself. So he's not meant to be wholly good. He's a little selfish, but he's still very well meaning. So that was like such a big deal with Dragon Ball. I don't think any other anime got hit as hard as that, personality wise. When it comes to video games, you've had minor changes like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Instead of Link narrating the game like he does in the Japanese version through the logs, it's just all second person view. So like in the original Japanese version, Link will say in the mission logs, "I had to do this, I had to do that," whereas in the English version it says, "You have to do this, you have to do that." So it's a shame because it stripped away a lot of Link's potential development. Um, Mario, I don't think that much really changed when it came to Mario, aside from maybe some minor stuff. Like they tried to change Princess Peach into Princess Toadstool. That didn't last, and she just went back to being Princess Peach. Though Koopa still became Bowser. Splatoon, very minorly, like the Squid Sisters in Japan, were known as Shiokarazu, I think. which means Sea of Colors. So police in Japan, they were Kali and Marie were not mistaken for actual sisters. In fact, in Japan, they're known as Aori and Hotaru. So it's kind of like how Xenoblade changed the names from Himura Hikari to Pyra Mithra. So Sonic, big in the changes. Like they took his attitude that he had in Japan and they amped it up to 10 in the Western version. So like I like I didn't mind it too much. I think Sonic was fine either way. I think he makes both work. Like he's either just really arrogant but kind of humble to like just arrogant. I mean, I think the English version still did a good job of portraying him as humble even when he tried to sound arrogant. It was just certain things were just done differently with Sonic. They lead too more to the attitude, but it was exciting, and I think this whole West and East thing was blown out of line for Sonic. I think one difference is that in Japan he's clearly more introverted than he is in America, where they seem to be. You want the biggest change? Check out Archie Comics, or at least Sonic Sad AM, where it started. Like he's like got this too cool attitude. Like this is like a thing back in the day. You had the Power Rangers, teenagers with attitude. That's Sonic. He's a teenager with attitude. So they really hammed that up. And even into the comics where he's all, yeah, gotta go fast. He's also portrayed as much more flirty. Like, take how he is with girls in the game, like Amy Rose, or Elise, where he's with them. He's like all shy, he doesn't really know what to say. Then put him next to Sally Acorn, and he's like flirting for days because Sally's his girl. So then, and it affects a lot of characters. It affected Amy. They kind of hammed up her immaturity. Like it's not even. Unfortunately, with Amy, even the West, not just the West, the East did that with Sonic X. So at that point, that was just bad writing. So, but yeah, and even other characters, like they kind of toned down Tails a little and Knuckles, but of course, even the West didn't treat Sally Acorn well. So, like, Sally Acorn was written well at first, and then over time she became kind of a shell of her former self too, to the point where nobody understands the character anymore. Now, and it happens with other Western characters. Like, you take Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat. I feel like his character's kind of regressed a little too, despite being a Western character. And I feel like the West to this day still kind of affects video games and how they're handled. Like the biggest one being Bridget and Guilty Gear. His story was totally misunderstood in the West after some point. Um, Resident Evil got a little bit of that because I would say that the interesting about Resident Evil is I feel like they were much more punny in the English version than the Japanese version. English version, Jill says, "You want stars? I'll give you stars." Japanese version, she says, monsters like you need to be exterminated. I think even Leon in Resident Evil 4, the original script, didn't have him making so many puns. He just didn't. But it worked in the Western release. And just to chime in quickly on something, Sonic is much worse than the IDW comics in my opinion. Those comics pretty much suck. Like, in the end, I feel like it's all perspective. And sometimes Japan makes the changes. When My Little Pony was brought to Japan, they had their opening theme song changed. So I know when they brought Star Wars to Japan, they got rid of some one-liners, at least from Darth Vader. Like he does not say "Your lack of faith disturbs me" in the Japanese version of the movie because they thought a villain should be making jokes. So, but I guess it's all depend. I think both countries just need to understand what these characters are, and hopefully in the future we don't run into these problems as much. I don't know if there's gonna be total understanding because, like again, Japan sometimes messes up their own characters, like Amy or Goku. The West messes up characters like Johnny Cage or Sally Acorn, but they're still trying their best, at least. So I could probably name a few more changes, especially Bat Box or Mega Man. But at this point, I think I said everything I needed to. So, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't think too much is going to change, honestly. Um, but maybe, but things are at least better than they used to be. Well, They will be again once people stop doing stupid stuff. Okay. Point. Anyway, I'm kind of just done with this. I'm out. See ya.